what you were told about 9/11 was a lie. This was an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning designed to take us into a war. And the war effort is continuing today. The war on terror that resulted from 9/11 is nothing more than a war on anyone, anywhere in the world that doesn't want to go along with one world government. And this war is on the American people. I got a film out called True Face of FEMA. I filmed the first Homeland Security meeting, and they told us we're going to be in for a long war. This war may be longer than the Cold War. This war, unlike other wars, this war is going to be fought on American soil. This is Colonel John Brinkerhoff lecturing law enforcement in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at Sandia Labs, and I got in and filmed it. I sent a photographer in to film this. It's in my film, True Face of FEMA. You can get that on my website, freeamerican.com. And I referred to it as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning because Larry Silverstein made $2 billion off of that destruction, and they launched a war that's cost us billions of dollars. Now, because the Federal Reserve System loans us the money to fight the wars, and then the companies that they own we buy the weapons from them. We borrow the money to buy the weapons. We take the weapons over there and attack a people that were never a threat to us. Iraq was not a threat to us. Saddam Hussein was not the evil dictator that they thought. The 9/11 Commission, they didn't talk to anybody about this. It was as much of a farce as the Warren Commission that Arlen Specter headed up, and Arlen Specter hated me when I was working with the presidential candidate, because every time he got up to speak on behalf of Phil Gramm, I would walk down the aisle and go, Arlen, hey, tell us about that magic bullet, Arlen. Now, folks, he was running for president in 1996. Florida Senator Phil Gramm. Yep, and on the chat room here in Blog TV, where I'm on every morning, the Planet Whisperer says there's big money in war, and then you get to rebuild, and there's big money in that too. In other words, we pay Brown and Root, Halliburton, to go in and rebuild the infrastructure that we just blew up with, Lang Temco Vox or General Dynamics, weapons. We blow them up with the weapons. We use all the gas to go over there to blow all these people up. And we blow them up with depleted uranium, which then poisons the land, poisons the people, and causes as much of a nuclear disaster as what you see are happening over in Japan. Folks, they got it written in stone. The elite have it written in stone. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. They want to reduce the world's population to a manageable 500 million. So that means they got to kill a lot of people. Yeah, nothing like a good crisis to make money. We just can't let a good crisis go to waste. And on the Hegelian dialectic, they create the crisis, they create the problems. That's happening right now. Mark Taylor was just one of the victims here. Edgar Steele is another. Kathy O'Brien, who wrote Transformation of America, she was on my show. She was she was one of these monarch mind-controlled MK Ultra experiments. She was with Dick Cheney, and Dick Cheney and George Bush was molesting Kathy O'Brien's daughter. Now they're in hiding. She and Mark Phillips are in hiding somewhere probably Thailand or someplace like that. So I've been reporting on this kind of crap for years. I sold John DeCamp's book. That was Mark's attorney in going against the pharmaceutical companies. And he told you about the child molestation, this MK Ultra, and the fact that George Bush was a pedophile and a drug dealer. And I got that too, folks, by the way. I've got the whole story of Operation Watchtower, which went right down in the same time period, and the same players, Oliver North and George Bush Sr., were also behind Operation Watchtower, which you didn't hear about, but it's all right here in my book, Mystery Babylon, The New World Order Unveiled. This was the first time talking about Operation Watchtower, where they were bringing the cocaine in from Panama into a little airport called Mena, Arkansas, that was protected by the governor, and his name was Bill Clinton. Yeah, so, and by the way, the war on terror wasn't the first war on the American people. The first war on the American people was the war on drugs, because the government's bringing in the drugs, the government's selling it to the poor blacks, giving them away to make some money. They're raking in the profits. They're making billions of dollars. The government and the CIA and the Mossad are behind. They are behind the drug cartels. They are behind the drug cartels. They are the drug cartels. They are the drug cartels, folks. The CIA and the Mossad are bringing the ecstasy into this country. They're bringing the cocaine into this country. They operated Air American. They operated Air America. They smuggled the heroin back from Thailand, from Vietnam, from Cambodia. They smuggled the heroin back in the body of our soldiers, and then they took over the cocaine industry down in South America, and they've been pumping that into America ever since. And that ain't the worst of it. That ain't the worst of it. 15,000 people a year. 15,000 people a year die from overdose of heroin, cocaine, or methamphetamine. But 20,000 die from pharmaceuticals. 20,000 people a year die from pharmaceuticals. In 1939, hemp was our #1 cash crop in America. They referred to it as a billion-dollar crop. Billion-dollar crop. And they took it from us. They stole it from us. And William Randolph Hearst, whose newspapers were printed on the redwoods that he was cutting down, the trees that he was cutting down. And you may not have been told in your schools that the Declaration of Independence was printed on hemp paper, that Benjamin Franklin's newspaper was printed on hemp paper, the encyclopedia, Titanic 100 years on hemp paper, Our Constitution was printed on hemp paper. Our Declaration of Independence was printed on hemp paper. Our flag was made out of hemp. Our blue jeans were made out of hemp. Our sails and the ropes that got our ships around the world were made out of hemp. And they sent all that to Red China, to Russia, to Canada. Hemp is the most valuable crop in the world. 10,000 products are made out of it, and you got to buy the products from Red China or Canada. Anytime a communist regime goes after a country, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first, they go after the intelligentsia next. That's anyone that's smart enough to go, hey, you see what they're doing? If you can do that, then you are a threat to them. And that's what makes me a threat to them, folks. That's why if I have somebody on my show, their chances are they're going to go after them. Matter of fact, one of my people, I've known for years, and I put him up. He was going to be on my show. And I post you the guest that I'm going to have on. Suddenly he got visited by agents, FBI agents, Homeland Security agents, and they wanted to know, why are you going to be on Clay Douglas' show? He said, because he's a friend of mine, I've known him for years. Why shouldn't I? Well, we think he's a subversive. Folks, I care about the Constitution. I care about this. And I put out the Free American. I've done this radio show for almost 20 years because I think you deserve to know the truth. The communist regime did infiltrate us, and we made McCarthyism a bad word because some of Roosevelt's best friends were communists. The 9th plank on the Communist Manifesto is corporate farms. Can you say Archer, Daniels, Midland, and Monsanto? And the food that Monsanto is making for you, the genetically modified, it's not. Rats won't even eat the genetically modified corn. And Pfizer and Rumsfeld, they're feeding you the aspartame, they're feeding you the Valium, they're feeding you the Luvox, they're feeding you all of this crap. And then on the illegal end, they are bringing in and controlling the whole drug trade here. So it's easy to put the users in jail, and then suddenly you're part of slave labor in America. 1 in every 31 Americans is in prison, on parole, or on probation. How many more are in hospitals? How many more are being drugged? And that's what they tried to do to me, folks. Let me tell you. Let me explain to you. They tried to kill me. They set me up. They had a woman hit me who never, ever went to jail. Never even went to court for hitting me. My sons couldn't find her. The lawyers couldn't find her. And in the hospital, they drugged me on Halcyon, Haldol, and Valium, and morphine. And the same thing, they were doing the same thing to Mark Taylor. They were giving him Haldol and screwed his head up. My attorney, one of my attorneys told me, Clay, it's amazing. It's a miracle that you're up and walking and talking. I've had person after person after person damaged irreparably by this Haldol. I've got no memory of 3 months in the hospital. Finally, my son said, take him off the drugs. And in 2 days, folks, I was up and walking and talking. Then I got visits from guys in blue pinstripe suits. Hi, Clay. How you doing? You been hallucinating, Clay? And I had been, but I hadn't told anybody. Not my family, not my wife, not my sons, not my doctors. So how did they know? You can thank us for that. Yeah, who are you? We're CIA. Yeah? What are you doing in this country? What are you doing screwing with me? Oh, we don't like you. publishing that motorcycle magazine. At the time of my accident, I had 4 films out. I had 3 books ready to go to print. I had 2 magazines that were kicking ass. I had them in National, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all over the country. And I asked him, the motorcycle magazine, you're upset about the motorcycle magazine? Free Americans want to expose you spook types, and what do you got against the motorcycle magazine? And I'll tell you the answer to that. The answer to that is that my sons kept the motorcycle magazine going because they'd helped me start it. And it was still going. While I was in the hospital, while I was unconscious, the Thunder Riders were still going. The Free American was gone because they didn't have the experience to publish that. But they told my sons, now he's got a severe head injury. Make sure he takes this medication. Make sure he takes this Depakote. Don't let him drive. Don't let him go and do this. Don't let him do that. Make sure and make arrangements for long-term care. Get guardianship of it. The same thing they tried to do to Mark Taylor. But they weren't that well equipped to deal with Clay Douglas. Possibly the one mistake they made was trying to overdose Clay Douglas, and that would have been real hard to do. But they tried. I ran them off. I said, "All right, you guys get out of my hospital." And hey, boys, listen, man. Thanks for the high there, but it wasn't nearly as good as that acid you brought in the '60s. Get out. The next day, they sent in the 3rd team. Woman comes in with a syringe about 8 inches long, inch in diameter, filled with a purple liquid, 3-inch needle on it. Hi, Mr. Douglas, I gotta give you this injection. Yeah? What is that? It's just a tranquilizer. Yeah, well, lady, I don't feel much like being tranquil today. You have to, I have to give you this. No, ma'am, I got the right to refuse medication. I don't know who you are. I don't know what that shit is. If it was Kool-Aid, it'd kill a horse. No, I'm not taking it. You have to. I'm going to go get security, and they're going to hold you down. I'm going to give it to you. And, folks, they did. Now, is this what they did to Mark Taylor? I don't know. Is this what they did to Paul Pantone? I don't know. I wasn't there. But I was there for this. And she went and got 4 St. Joseph's Hospital uniformed security guards and brought them back to hold me down while she gave me the injection. I took them aside. And I said, guys, a couple of things you need to know. 1, I'm not taking that shot. 2, if you try to give it to me, when I was in Special Forces, they didn't teach me how not to hurt anybody. So here's what's going to happen. You, Chubby, I'm taking your throat out. You, I'm going to break your arms. I'm going to break your legs. And you, Shorty, I'll just smash your kneecaps. You may never walk again. I call it the best bluff I've ever pulled in my life. I'd lost 100 pounds. I hadn't eaten anything in 3 months. I'd been on intravenous injection, whatever they give you, intravenous nutrition, for 3 months. I lost 100 pounds, so I might not have been able to do that. But I'm still 6'4", so they didn't want to find out. A week later, I was well enough to get out of the hospital. And when I walked out, they said, you need to take this medication. I said, the only medication I need is a joint and a Harley. I'm not doing any of your drugs. pharmaceutical drugs. I'm not doing it. And because I refuse to do it, folks, I'm still alive today. I'm still sane today. I am not sick. I'm not hospitalized. I'm not incapacitated. Because I passed on all the drugs. Mark Taylor has been drugged for a year, and they're trying to tell Donna, you can't just take him off of him. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. I don't think so. I don't think so. If I was his mother, I would take him off all the drugs right now and sit around and hold his hand and watch him. Maybe let him smoke some medical marijuana. Maybe, and that would bring him down. Kathy O'Brien, who wrote The Transformation of America, told me she was allowed to do cocaine, she was allowed to do heroin. She delivered heroin to George Bush. You ever wonder why George Bush threw up on the Japanese Prime Minister? Because he was using heroin. But she was not allowed to smoke marijuana because it destroys their control over you. I cannot be hypnotized, and I don't watch television. They don't call television programming for nothing. And every other commercial on television is for some form of pharmaceuticals. Read the contraindications on the drugs that they want you to take, the Luvox, to read what they, you can take these, they might kill you, but they might make you well too. Oh, bullshit. Now, if you want the pharmaceuticals kill 20,000 people a year, and that's not counting doctor mistakes. What happened to Mark Taylor happened is happening to people all over this country. That's why his story is so important. And more important than that, is because of what I do, I am under constant attack. Just the other day, I stopped off at a bar to have a drink. Motorcycle bar. You wouldn't think it would be anything. I've been publishing motorcycle magazine, riding motorcycles for 50 years. I certainly fit in with a motorcycle crowd. But suddenly somebody I didn't know, somebody maybe I'd seen around, tells me I'm not welcome there. Why? Oh, you're a cop caller. No, I don't call any cops. Somebody else, oh, well, you were selling that book to raise money for a snitch named Huevos. No? Don't know any snitch named Huevos. Ain't raising money for nobody but me. But suddenly, I've been demonized. The same thing happened to Donna Taylor while Mark was being held in this place. While Mark Taylor was being held in there, they were trying to demonize Donna Taylor, saying that she wasn't a good mother, saying that she was crazy, trying to demonize her, again, the same way they did me. And this is what they do. There are people out there that think they think they're being good Americans. They've gone out, they've started the Tea Parties, and they've done things like that. But your hero of this Tea Party is Sarah Palin, And what did she come out with? She wanted to go bomb Iran, and now we're into Libya, we're into Afghanistan, we're into Iraq. They are doing that to get our troops out of the country. In my film, True Face of FEMA, Colonel John Brinkerhoff it makes a statement. In case of a earthquake of significant magnitude along the New Madrid fault line, in case of a single outbreak of smallpox in a major metropolitan area, we'll need 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people, because some of them just won't follow orders. In other words, some of us won't line up and get injected with a weapon of mass destruction that you call vaccines, that will give you the disease they're supposed to be protecting you from. It's the medical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial complex is all the same thing. Go to my website, watch the IllumaCore videos that I got up there. It's almost like a commercial for the Illuminati. And it really shows what they are doing. It shows what they are doing, folks. And yes, my first film, and this is available on my website too. True Face of FEMA is available from me. You can call me at 505-908-9498. You can order it. I can have it to you in a couple of days. Everything's shipped by priority mail. I've got chemtrails. I was the first one to deal with chemtrails. I was the first 9/11 truther out there. In my video, chemtrails, they are still doing that, folks. They are still spraying you. We know where they're coming from. We know what they're doing. And they are poisoning your food, folks. The snow, it's reported that the snow on top of Mount Rainier and Mount Shasta, they're warning people not to eat the snow, not even the white snow, because it contains aluminum in poisonous doses. They're poisoning you with the aluminum byproducts called fluoride in your water. They are killing the American people, because if you live too far beyond 65, then their little Ponzi Social Security scheme don't work. They don't work. If you live to be 80 or 90 years old, then you could break Social Security. So they are trying to kill us. The illegal aliens that they've let run across the border, not to say that the Mexicans, if I lived down in Acapulco area and I couldn't feed my family, I'd be walking up here with them. But the government's not stopping them. The government's not stopping them. And they are the ones that are getting your Social Security and your benefits now. And they're responsible for the murder of over 60,000 Americans since 9/11. Part of the plot to destabilize, to balkanize this country. The Aztlan, this is all a communist type of operation, the same as the Bolshevik Revolution. Folks, we can stop this, but only if you've got people like me telling you the truth about what's going on. I want to thank Doug Millar for letting me do his show. And God bless y'all. I'm out of time here. FreeAmerican.com. Thanks.